Thank you very much, Victoria Sheehan, for that introduction. I appreciate it. Obviously, the dynamics are different this year in both the House and the Senate when it comes to an infrastructure bill, which we're looking at a comprehensive infrastructure bill, which could include not only traditional transportation infrastructure, but also water systems, sewer systems, rural broadband, you name it. Obviously, our part of it is roads and bridges, and we have a 1-year extension, which I was very happy to help push through. 1-year extension to get that done. The last thing we want to see is short-term extensions, because it makes it really, really hard for state DOTs to do any planning whatsoever. Even a 1-year extension makes it hard to do long-range planning. But we're working real hard to come up with a bipartisan bill. Working with Peter to try to craft something in the House of Representatives, and we have found that partnership is much, much better when it comes to getting a good bill than partisanship. And what we had last year was a good example of that, something that didn't go anywhere. And what we're hoping for is to be able to incorporate that bipartisan spirit that we've always had in the Transportation Committee back into the process. So we're going to be introducing our basic, things that we want to see in a bill, our objectives, making sure that we take care of rural infrastructure, giving states more flexibility when it comes to, projects and determining how we do it, making them more efficient in terms of, continuing to pare down some of the red tape and the regulations that you have to jump through to get projects done. Those are just a few of the items we're looking at. We have a whole laundry list, as we did in the bill we sponsored last year, and we hope again that we're going to be able to do something on a bipartisan scale. And I think if leadership, as Speaker Pelosi will allow the committee to do its work, then we will have just that. If she takes over the process from her office, then it's going to make it harder. But I know Peter and I would both like to see the committee be able to do its work as we have always done in the past. And we've got a lot of issues to tackle, one of those being, a long-term fix when it comes to the Highway Trust Fund and figuring out how we make sure that it's solvent for many years to come, and also making sure that the folks that aren't paying for the use of the road, that use alternative fuels, are paying their share when it comes to those roads and bridges. So that's something that we definitely have to take a look at. I mentioned in the beginning that the House and the Senate have the dynamics are different, much narrower margins. We are seeing that in the House with a 5-vote split on the floor, and then obviously in the Senate, it's 50-50. So, again, the best way to get something done that both chambers and both sides can support is that working together and bipartisanship. So, that's kind of it in a nutshell. We've got a lot of work to do in other areas as well. We have a Coast Guard bill to pass. We have a WRDA bill, the Water Resources Act to reauthorize again. So we're going to be busy, not just on roads and bridges and surface transportation reauthorization, but other things as well. And I might say real quick before I turn it over for questions, it looks like the timeline, we're going to start putting some language together. I'm going to say later this spring. So it's coming right along, and we hope to get something done earlier rather than later, and hopefully it'll be a 5-year extension.
Congressman, thank you so much for that. I'd like to offer up to everybody watching, that comment that you made about partnership versus partisanship. I think there's a strong history of that in the House T&I committee. Your experience there, both as chairman and as ranking member, has borne that out. I just want to go back and recognize some of the efforts that have had a major impact for state DOTs around the country, and very specifically for Missouri DOT in my tenure here. First of all, it's the passage of the FAST Act. We just met here in Missouri with our commission yesterday, early February, and we have just put out a $5.8 billion capital program for the next 5 years. We're working through that now, but we worked through the financial plan. Just 5 years ago, before the FAST Act was passed, that was $1.6 billion. So that is hundreds and hundreds of projects that are getting done as a result of those efforts. I do want to ask you a little more details, if you will, because I think we have made some progress in the last couple of years, as you said, streamlining project delivery and prioritizing the core programs that exist. We're getting very good at operating those programs, but that flexibility for DOTs helps us get projects out the door. You know, major program categories are really important. These are AASHTO principles that we would like to see in reauthorization. Can you speak a little more in detail on what your thoughts are there and how we can help you support that effort?
We definitely want to give states more flexibility to be able to make the determinations on how how they spend those federal dollars, and on determinations on where exactly they're going to focus those federal dollars. We certainly want to streamline, see these projects streamlined, and that doesn't mean we want to reduce a lot of the regulation. It doesn't mean we have to do anything in an unenvironmentally friendly way. I think we're all cognizant of the importance of rebuilding roads and bridges, or building roads and bridges, and doing it in a environmentally friendly way. But we can also use a little bit of common sense when it comes to studying these projects to death, or studying them to the point where the cost continues to rise and go up and up and up, and then it ends up costing maybe a third again as much, or half again as much, to ultimately complete that project. And all that does is hurt DOTs in the future.
You've done a lot of thought and have done a lot of research and have been promoting things like vehicle miles traveled technologies. And I've heard you talk about the thought that you think that this is something that could be implemented sooner rather than later. Many people look at that and think, well, that's 10 or 15 or 20 years out. But I wanted to see if you'd share with us your thoughts on moving forward in that regard.
It can be done right now with the technology that we have. So first of all, when it comes to alternative fuels, which are paying nothing for the use of the roads, things like CNG or propane or electric, or whatever the case may be, we can implement. Electric's a little different, but the alternative fuels that other alternative fuels, we can just implement the vehicle miles traveled whenever they do their fill-ups. Electricity, we're probably going to have to do something at registration. But when it comes to the hundreds of thousands of cars that still burn gas, or vehicles that still burn diesel, we can do it at the pump, and we just do a simple formula. So you take whatever we come up with as the national average for miles per gallon, we multiply that by the whatever the VMT is going to come up to, let's say a penny, and we just calculate it at the pump. It's collected the same way it is today, and it goes directly to the trust fund the same way it's being done now. It doesn't take any new technology. This isn't about GPS tracking devices or anything like that. This is just a formula at the pump, very much like we're doing now in terms of a fuel tax. And I want to stress too, I don't want to overlay a VMT on top of a existing federal fuel tax. I want to eliminate one date certain and start the next one date certain. So many times in the federal level, you see a situation where there's a phase in or phase out, and it never really happens. We ultimately end up with two taxes, and I don't want to see that at all. This is just something different, so we can start recouping all of those dollars from vehicles that simply aren't paying. And
I really appreciate, and I think DOTs across the country really do appreciate this innovative thinking and the progress that you're making in that regard. I know we stand ready to help you and the members on your committee with anything you need as you move forward. I know there's going to be a lot of discussion and debate, but AASHTO, the member states and state DOTs around the country and their staffs just really look forward to working together to move transportation and infrastructure investment in this country forward, which is where it needs to go. Thank you, Congressman Graves, for your time, and really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it.